She was smiling at the sunset when her heart forgot how to beat. In that final second, Sarah Mitchell looked more at peace than she had in 20 years. But peace, as we often discover too late, can be the cruelest illusion of all. There's something haunting about the moments we don't see coming. Those split seconds that divide before from after, hope from heartbreak, presence from absence. Today's story takes us into one of those moments, where the difference between life and death was measured not in minutes or hours, but in the space of a single stolen heartbeat. Sarah Mitchell had always been a fighter. At 42, she had survived a divorce that nearly broke her, raised 2 teenagers as a single mother, and built a small but successful bakery from nothing more than her grandmother's recipe book and an unshakable belief that tomorrow would be better than today. Her days began at 4 a.m, kneading dough while the world still slept, her hands working the same patterns her grandmother had taught her 30 years ago. The bakery smelled of cinnamon and hope, 2 things Sarah had learned to measure in equal portions. Her customers weren't just buying bread. They were buying the warmth that seemed to radiate from every corner of Mitchell's Morning Glory bakery. But beneath Sarah's flour-dusted apron and genuine smile lived a secret she kept even from herself. For months, she had been ignoring the flutter in her chest, the irregular rhythm that came and went like a shy visitor. She told herself it was stress, exhaustion, too much caffeine. After all, single mothers who run small businesses don't have time for doctor visits or mysterious symptoms. Her daughter, Emma, 17 and fiercely independent, had been after her to slow down. "Mom, you look tired all the time," she'd say, studying Sarah's face with the concern that children learn too early when they've watched a parent struggle alone. But Sarah would just laugh it off, ruffle Emma's hair, and change the subject to college applications or weekend plans. The evening it happened, Sarah had done something she rarely allowed herself. She had closed the bakery early. It was Emma's birthday, and for once, Sarah decided that the world could wait. She had spent the afternoon making Emma's favorite cake, a complicated 3-layer creation with buttercream roses that took hours to perfect. As the sun began to set, mother and daughter sat on their small apartment balcony, sharing cake and talking about everything and nothing. Emma was telling her about a boy at school, her cheeks flushed with teenage excitement, when Sarah felt it, that familiar flutter, but stronger now, more insistent. She pressed her hand to her chest, trying to quiet the rebellion happening beneath her ribs. The sensation passed, as it always did, and Sarah smiled, returning her attention to her daughter's story. "You're not listening, Mom," Emma teased, nudging Sarah's shoulder. "I'm telling you about Jake, and you're staring at the sunset like it holds the secrets of the universe." Sarah laughed, a sound that came easier in moments like these. "Maybe it does, sweetheart. Maybe it does." It was then that Sarah felt the strangest sensation, a profound stillness settling over her like a warm blanket. The flutter in her chest ceased completely, replaced by something that felt almost like relief. She looked at Emma, really looked at her, taking in every detail of her daughter's face in the golden light. The freckles across her nose that she'd inherited from her father, the determined set of her jaw that was pure Sarah, the eyes bright with youth and possibility. The sunset painted everything in shades of amber and rose, and Sarah thought with startling clarity that this was what happiness felt like. Not the frantic joy of achieving a goal or the relief of surviving another crisis, but this quiet contentment, this perfect moment suspended between breath and heartbeat. She reached over and tucked a strand of hair behind Emma's ear, a gesture she'd been making since Emma was small. "I love you, sweetheart," she said, her voice carrying a weight she didn't fully understand. "I need you to know that. Whatever happens, whatever life brings you, remember that you were loved completely." Emma smiled, that beautiful, unconscious smile of someone who has never doubted their place in the world. "I love you too, Mom. Why are you being so sentimental? It's just another birthday." Sarah opened her mouth to explain, to say something about the sunset or the cake or the perfection of the moment, but the words dissolved before they could form. Instead, she smiled. Genuinely, peacefully. The kind of smile that comes from a place beyond worry or fear. In that second, her heart, that brave, overworked organ that had carried her through 42 years of joy and sorrow, through sleepless nights and early mornings, through heartbreak and healing, simply stopped. No drama, no pain, no warning. Just silence where rhythm used to be. She looked peaceful. That's what Emma would tell the paramedics later. Through tears, she couldn't stop. She looked so peaceful, like she had finally found whatever she'd been searching for. The paramedics arrived. 13 minutes later, summoned by Emma's frantic call, they worked with professional urgency, their movements precise and practiced. But Sarah was already gone. The peaceful expression on her face remained unchanged as they tried to restart the heart that had given all it had to give. Emma rode in, the ambulance, holding her mother's still warm hand, trying to reconcile the woman who had been laughing with her moments before with this impossibly still figure on the stretcher. The birthday cake sat abandoned on the balcony table, 3 layers of love that would never be finished. At the hospital, Dr. Martinez explained what Emma's mind couldn't quite accept. Sarah had suffered massive cardiac arrest, likely caused by an arrhythmic condition called Brugada syndrome, a silent killer that often shows no symptoms until it's too late. The flutter Sarah had been ignoring wasn't stress or exhaustion. It was her heart's way of asking for help in the only language it knew. She wouldn't have felt any pain, Dr. Martinez assured Emma, though the words felt hollow in the sterile hallway. Sometimes the heart just stops, like it's decided its work is done. In the days that followed, as Emma navigated funeral arrangements and legal paperwork with the bewildered efficiency of someone too young to be making such decisions, the story of that final evening played on repeat in her mind. She remembered her mother's strange sentimentality, the way she had looked at the sunset as if seeing it for the first time, the weight in her voice when she spoke of love. Had she known? Had some part of Sarah sensed what was coming? Emma would never know for certain, but she found strange comfort in the possibility that her mother's final moments had been filled not with fear or regret, but with love and peace. The bakery sat, empty for weeks. Customers left flowers by the door and notes expressing condolences to Sarah's girl. Mrs. Chen from next door brought Emma soup every day, and Father Rodriguez from St. Mary's stopped by to check on her, though Emma hadn't been to church in years. Eventually, Emma made the decision to reopen Mitchell's Morning Glory Bakery. She was heading to college in the fall, but until then, she would honor her mother's legacy. The first morning she turned on the ovens at 4 a.m., her hands shaking as she followed her grandmother's recipes. She understood something about love that she had never grasped before. Love isn't just in the grand gestures or the perfect moments. It's in the daily bread, the early mornings, the hands that work tirelessly to create something nourishing for others. It's in the decision to choose peace over panic, to find beauty in ordinary sunsets, to believe that tomorrow will be better than today, even when your heart is literally breaking. Sarah Mitchell died as she had lived, with grace, surrounded by love, creating something beautiful for someone else. In that final second, as her heart found its rest, she looked peaceful because she was. She had done what she came here to do. She had loved completely, and she had been completely loved in return. Life is fragile, measured not in years but in heartbeats, not in achievements but in moments of connection. We never know which sunset will be our last, which I love you will be our final gift to someone we cherish. Sarah's story reminds us that peace isn't something we find at the end of our struggles. It's something we create in the spaces between heartbeats, in the choice to love fully even when we can't love forever. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more stories that explore the delicate moments that define our humanity. And remember, tell the people you love that you love them. Not tomorrow, not when the timing is perfect, but now. Because now is all we ever really have. In now. The comments below, share a moment when you felt truly at peace. Let's create a space where Sarah's story continues through all of us, who understand that sometimes the most profound moments happen in the space of a single heartbeat.